Hey everybody, welcome. My name is John Mano. I'm the photographer and owner of John Mano Weddings. I'm a artisan studio here in Southbury, Connecticut, specializing in making your wedding be awesome with beautiful photos, beautiful service, and great pricing. So I'm all about giving you the fantastic wedding experience because that's the kind of guy I am. So I'd like to introduce myself and I want to tell you a little bit about the time. I have my watch on today. It is 4:30, and I have my watch on for a very specific reason, and that's because today we're going to talk about timing of when to plan your wedding, and specifically when to book your venue and your wedding photographer. So it is April, it's Friday, it is 4:30 as I mentioned. So congratulations on your wedding engagement. And the fun begins because now you have lots to think about and lots to plan for your wedding, which is an exciting time. It also can be a little bit stressful. So you've never done this before. Maybe you're not sure how to go about doing it. And that's the purpose of this video because I do this every week. So I get to know a lot about weddings and the whole process. So I can help you out. I tell that with all my couples. I'm really happy to help you out here. So when should I start planning my wedding? That's the big question. And let's just talk about this. Now, if we lived in Hawaii or we lived in Florida, which would be fantastic, I would love that. I can have weddings on the beach all day. It would be great. We can have weddings all year round. So cool, that would be really nice. But we live in Connecticut, in New England. And just like a month ago, there was still snow on the ground, less than a month ago. So our wedding season is really small. Peak wedding season in Connecticut starts in June, really. That's when things really kick off is June, and it goes to October. So June to October is really only 5 months. So you take 365 days in a year. Now you bring that down to 5 months. See, so that's not a lot of days. We just threw them out. Now weddings usually happen on Saturdays mainly. They do happen on Sundays and Fridays, but they're very limited usually to a weekend. So once again, we went from 5 months with lots of days. Now we've compressed that down to just a couple of weekends throughout the summer, which is not a lot. Some people do 3 weddings, some people do 2, some people do 1. But if you could be looking at a range of anywhere from 1 wedding per week to maybe 3 a week, but that's like 25 to 45 weddings. So you take a whole year and you go to a venue and you've kind of compressed that down to only 5 months. There starts to be a lot of issues of things booking up. Now, when you think about everybody in Connecticut, you're not the only one getting married. So there's lots of people that live in Connecticut. I'm sure there's, hundreds of thousands, if, maybe not even millions of people that live in Connecticut. And they're getting married here in the state. And then there's lots of people that say live in New York, live in New Jersey, and they want to come to Connecticut because Connecticut's awesome to have weddings here. And then you have people that lived in Connecticut but went to school out of state, or maybe they got a job out of state, or they relocated, but they still come to Connecticut because their family's here for their wedding in the summer. So everyone now wants to get their wedding at the same time. So that starts to create problems. And that's why it's really important to book, here's my recommendation, is a year to 2 years in advance, okay? Especially for your venue, 2 years in advance. And people go, well, my wedding's a year away, it's going to be okay, but it's not that way because, as I mentioned, venues book up. Now, you want to find the venue. I mean, it's one thing to find the venue, and then you want to make sure you have your date available. And then you also want to make you have the time available because you chose this really nice venue, and you don't want to necessarily go there and have your ceremony in the dark or have your portraits in the dark. So, it's important not only to get the right day for your venue that's going to work for you, but also get the right time of the day so that you can take advantage of the good lighting conditions. So that further makes things get a little complicated. So for myself right now, it's April, as I mentioned, 2019. And most of my weddings are already booked up for this year, especially during the peak season. There's a couple little holes here and there, but pretty much most of the season is booked up. And already people are booking heavily into 2020. So 2020 is a year away, and already people are making their wedding plans and booking for October and things like that. So the first thing, and when you're planning, the first thing you want to do is get your venue booked. Okay, that's the first. You don't want to do it the other way around. Get your photographer and then the venue, because dates can change. So first thing is get your venue booked. Next, you want to get your photographer booked. Why your photographer? Because your photographer is one of the most important vendors, that you're going to work with. A couple of reasons. One of them is that they're going to spend more time with you than any other person on your wedding day. I mean, sometimes I spend 13 hours with a couple. I mean, I'm in their getting ready rooms, and they're in their jammies, and then, we're going to the guys, and they're just getting out and getting ready, and then we're doing getting ready shots and first look shots and the ceremony and portraits. So I'm spending the whole day with these people, so I'm very, very involved with them. It's one of the most intimate parts of their life. Not only am I involved with, working with them closely, but their family and the wedding party and their guests. So you want a photographer that you like, that you can get along with, that's really, friendly, personable. You don't want somebody prickly. You want a nice person because they're going to be with you. Also, your wedding photographs are, I would say, one of the most important thing, if not the most important thing of your wedding, because they're going to hold the memory of your wedding more than anything else. I mean, my parents a couple of months ago took out their wedding album from over 60 years ago. They still have their wedding album, and it was gorgeous and beautiful, and the photographer did an amazing job, so we could look at all these people. I didn't even know who they were, that they were relatives and cousins and all important people that I learned about. So it's why your photographer is so important, and that's why really next in line you want to book your photographer. Photographers do book up really far in advance, as I mentioned, because I'm not a big studio. I've worked for companies before that do 150 weddings a year, and they're just book a photographer even when they don't have one. They'll just say, yeah, okay, we got it, here you go, whatever. They'll just book you way in advance, even though when they don't have photographers. But for me, it's not that way. It's real personable here. I'm the photographer. You know who it's going to be. You know who he's going to do your work. You know the pictures on the website were shot by me and all that stuff. So because I'm not doing 3 weddings a weekend, I really specialize in, one wedding per week, and that way I don't get backlogged on editing, and I can really focus on your wedding. I tend to book up quicker because I don't have a lot of available dates. So keep that in mind. We talked about, when to book in advance. The other thing about why you want to book in advance too is not only do you get the dates that you want and the people that you want, but you can also take advantage of better pricing. So let's say I'm booking a wedding next year and it's October. If I book that wedding in October with a venue or a vendor, whatever, I'm going to take advantage of that pricing right at that moment. But if I wait till, say, January or February, then guess what? The pricing goes up off in the beginning of the year. So if you delay, you tend to pay more. And the last thing you want to do is you don't want to scramble. I mean, I get calls, even now for 2019 of people like, oh, our wedding's coming up, we're a little behind, we can't find a photographer, everybody's booked, we can't find a venue, and I mean, you don't want that. I mean, it's a big undertaking to plan a wedding. It's stressful enough that you don't want to be scrambling and running around at the last minute trying to find somebody because you didn't plan ahead. So prior planning prevents poor performance. Somebody taught me that somewhere in life, but it's true. The early bird gets the worm, and the early bride gets the venue and the best photographer. Okay, so that's my quote for the day. The early bride gets the venue. So keep that in mind. Now, there are other options. So one option we've been talking about is peak season. That's the season most people want, is peak season, and those fill up fast. But there are other options within peak season, and one of those is not a weekend wedding, but weekday. So, Thursday weddings are, as far as the weekdays, is Thursday's real common, and you can also often get cheaper rates and more availability. So an option if you want the peak season is not do it on a weekend, but do it on a weekday. day. I've done Tuesday weddings, I've done Monday weddings. So those are possibilities. The other possibility is to have your wedding on kind of the either end of the peak season. So we're talking about April and May and November. So there the weather is changeable, it's variable, sometimes unpredictable, but you can, do pretty good. If you play your cards right, you can have a really awesome April, you can have a nice May, and I've had some really beautiful Novembers. So during that time, there's more availability, you can get better pricing and off-season rates and things like that. Another option is a winter wedding. So if you like the winter, you're a snow person, then winter weddings can be really great. You can get off-season discounts often, lots of availability, flexibility, and things like that. So winter weddings can be a really great way to save some money, especially if you can get a nice wedding venue that can accommodate groups and do portraits and things like that, that you can get all the shots you need. And every now and then you get surprised with winter weddings. And I did a winter wedding in January on the beach this year in Madison, at the Madison Beach Hotel. And, surprisingly, the weather was nice. And we were out on the rocks in the water taking pictures and all that. And, you couldn't tell that it was winter, by looking at the pictures. So winter weddings is another option. So that's basically my tip of the day is the early bride gets the venue and the best photographer. Good photographers do book up quick, especially smaller studios. So, if you really like the idea of working with a, particular photographer, you like their work, it's behooves you to move quick on that. Sometimes people will, contact me in October for their wedding the following year, and then I don't hear from them for months. And then they contact me in January or February or March, and they're like, okay, we're ready to book. And I'm like, well, I already got somebody booked. So, and I hate when that happens, So the thing is, if you are found a photographer you like, the thing is, don't wait. Don't wait 4 months. Don't wait 5 months. Because chances are they're going to be booked later down the road. So you find somebody good, get them, grab them, get them while you can, as the saying goes. So I hope that helps you out. April is here. Kind of get moving there. If you need any help with anything, let me know. I'll be happy to help you. And I just wish you all the best for your wedding planning and hiring all the great vendors that you need to make your wedding be awesome. So once again, John Munno Weddings. Have a wonderful day.